A long time ago, there was a small and quiet village. This village was surrounded by very tall mountains, and in between the mountains there were wide, green fields and soft meadows. In this peaceful place, there lived a young boy named Thomas. People in the village knew him well because his eyes were bright and full of life, and his smile could make other people smile, too. His laughter was so warm and happy that it often spread to everyone around him. But deep inside, behind his happy face, Thomas carried many worries and problems that made his heart heavy and sometimes made his days feel sad and difficult. Thomas lived in a simple and small house, often called a cottage, together with his parents. Life in this home was not easy. His father, Mr. Thompson, worked as a carpenter, making and repairing furniture from wood. He worked for many hours every day, but even with all his hard work, he found it difficult to earn enough money for the family's needs. His mother, Mrs. Thompson, worked as a seamstress, sewing clothes for other people. But her pay was very small, and it was only just enough to help buy the most basic things like food and clothing every morning. To rise, Thomas would wake up and hear his parents talking in low voices. They spoke with worry in their tone. They talked about bills they could not pay, about the food that was slowly running out, and about how they did not know what the future would bring. At school, Thomas had a very good friend named Peter. Peter wore thick glasses to help him see, and he walked with a small limp. Because of these differences, some unkind children made fun of him. Thomas felt sad in his heart whenever he saw Peter's shoulders drop and his head hang low because of these hurtful words. One day, Thomas decided to help his friend. He told the children who were teasing Peter to stop, and he said that from now on, he would walk to school with Peter every day so that Peter would not feel alone. Peter was very thankful for this kindness. His eyes were wet with tears, but he smiled and agreed. From then on, as they walked together, Peter began to tell Thomas about his struggles. He explained how it was hard to see the blackboard clearly, how some school lessons were very difficult for him, and how other children made jokes about his glasses and limp. Thomas listened quietly and understood that everyone, no matter how they look on the outside, has their own problems to face. Thomas also had his own school challenges. He tried hard to be a good student, but it was not easy to focus when his mind was full of worries about his parents and their money problems. One subject, in particular, gave him a lot of trouble: mathematics. No matter how much he tried, he could not understand it well. One day, Thomas stayed in the classroom after school to speak with his teacher, Miss Adams. He told her honestly that he was struggling with math and was afraid he would fall behind the rest of the class. Miss Adams gave him a warm smile and told him that it was always okay to ask for help. She sat with him and explained the problems step by step, slowly and clearly. Feeling encouraged, Thomas began to stay after school, often to get more help. With Miss Adams guiding him, and with his own determination to keep trying, he slowly began to understand mathematics better, and his confidence grew. However, even though school was improving for him, the worries about his family stayed in his mind. He saw his parents working hard every day, yet their financial problems seemed to grow worse. One evening, Thomas overheard them speaking quietly again. They were talking about unpaid rent, growing debts, and the serious risk of losing their home. Thomas's eyes filled with tears when he understood how bad things were. He wanted to help, but he did not know how to fix such big problems. Still, Thomas decided to do whatever he could. He began taking small jobs around the village. He mowed lawns, washed dishes, and carried things for neighbors. Every bit of money he earned, he gave to his parents. But no matter how much he worked, it was never enough to solve everything. One afternoon, while walking home from school, Thomas saw a bright flyer pinned to a wall. It was an advertisement for a village talent show. The first prize was a large amount of money, enough to pay the debts and make life easier for his family. Thomas's heart filled with hope. He ran home to tell his parents. At first, they were unsure. They worried that if Thomas did not win, he would feel disappointed, and they did not want him to face another sadness. But Thomas explained that he wanted to try and that he would not give up easily. With their permission, Thomas began preparing for the talent show. He chose to play the guitar, and he practiced every spare moment. He worked hard to make every note perfect and to play with all his heart. When the night of the talent show arrived, the village hall was full of people, and the air was filled with excitement. When it was his turn, Thomas walked onto the stage. His heart was beating fast, but he took a deep breath and began to play his guitar. As he played, he poured all his hopes, fears, and dreams into the song. The audience became silent, listening carefully to the emotion in his voice and the determination in his eyes. When the song ended, the room was filled with loud applause, and many people had tears in their eyes. In the end, Thomas did not win the first prize, but something even more special happened. The people in the village, touched by his courage and hard work, decided to help his family. They collected enough money to pay the debts, keep the home, and make sure there was food on the table. Thomas felt deeply thankful. He hugged his parents tightly, and happy tears ran down his cheeks. In that moment, he understood that with love, determination, and the support of kind people, Even the biggest problems can be faced and overcome as the weeks and months passed. New challenges came, but the family faced them together, stronger than before. And Thomas knew in his heart that no matter what happened in the future, he would always try to rise above the difficulties with music in his heart and a smile on his face.